This is Crypto Talk with Jurgen Welsink.
Hi, it's Jurgen Welsink from Cryptocurrency Academy. I'm here together with Jake. Jake is from Decred. And can you tell a little bit what do you do within Decred and what does Decred do?
Sure. My name's Jake Yocom-Piatt. I'm the project lead for Decred, and I oversee a lot of development work, and I oversee the project as a whole. And what Decred is really about is that it is in short Bitcoin with a proof of stake governance mechanism added, along with the associated incentive changes that you have to make.
So it's almost an improved Bitcoin then.
I would argue that it's an improvement, but I won't bias people's judgment. It's just it's technically Bitcoin with proof of stake. I think it's great because what it does is it allows the stakeholders to make the major decisions in the currency rather than the proof of work miners or the developers.
Okay, so are you working with masternoding then, or are you doing it in a different way, the proof of stake?
So the way we do proof of stake is different than a masternode system. The masternode system, you take coins, that allows you to create a masternode, and then those coins are liquid. Yeah. What we do is that instead of using that kind of system, we use it's a sort of proof of sacrifice in the sense that you take your coins, there's a ticket price, and the ticket price goes up and down. And the ticket price goes up and down to keep a stable ticket pool size. There's a pool of tickets, about 41,000 tickets. So the price goes up as more people buy tickets, the price comes down as less people buy tickets. And the idea is to have a steady ticket pool size, then your tickets between 1 and 142 days after you lock your coins, they'll be called for a vote. 5 of these votes are called on every block. So the 41,000 ticket pool rolls over every block, and then these tickets get voted on every block. So the average it takes until your ticket is voted is 28 days, and the way the system works is that when you cast your vote, you're given a reward in the same way that, say, with other proof of stake systems, you earn a reward for participating.
Okay, but what can I do with the ticket? I create a ticket. What can I put in?
Well, so there's a couple things you can do with the ticket. The first thing you can do is that you're always voting on the validity of the previous block's proof of work. So that if there's a malicious proof of work miner, like let's say someone doesn't want to upgrade and doesn't want to allow people to vote, the stakeholders can vote against that block and strip the proof of work miner of their reward for the previous block. So this gives the proof of stake miners an ability to penalize misbehaving proof of work miners, basically making the proof of stake, the stakeholders sovereign. Further, it allows us to vote on consensus changes, so that if we want to change our consensus rules, like make larger blocks, add privacy, enable new smart contracts, we can do so in a way that other coins can't. It doesn't matter if it's a soft fork or a hard fork, any consensus change can be done. We've done 2 of these votes so far.
Okay, so at current time, you're doing a proof of work because there are now approximately 7 million coins, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and so people are mining also.
Correct.
And besides that, there is a proof of stake system with ticketing.
Exactly, and so the way that works is that each block's reward is split into 3 parts. 60% of it goes to proof of work, 30% goes to proof of stake, and 10% of it goes to a development fund so that we can fund our ongoing operations like more development work, all of this wonderful marketing that we're doing, and the booths we have.
Okay, interesting. And now, because you say basically we can do all kind of forks, so it could be that now it's 21 million, but in a period of time it could be like it's 100 million or something like that. It could change.
It is in theory possible to do that. However, it is important to consider, when you start talking about increasing the issuance. It's currently set at 21 million, but as soon as you start dialing it up, what does it do to the existing shareholders or stakeholders' coins? The value goes down.
Yeah,
so people are not incentivized to issue more coins, right? So what we tried to do is just as Bitcoin did before, we're trying to align incentives. So we incentivize good behavior and we de-incentivize bad behavior. That's really the best we can do.
Okay. So there are some different changes. You have a whole governance system basically within the system in place, which basically would it can speed up development, but it also can get a kickback because part of the community doesn't want some kind of progression. So how do you feel about that yourself, actually?
I feel like the only way to really make progress with cryptocurrency is to keep your community coherent. You need to keep your community from splitting. And the only way you can really do that is by letting people resolve their disputes. If you look at Bitcoin and Ethereum and even Monero recently, when people don't agree on things and they can't reach a sort of ideological consensus, I'm not even talking about like a computational consensus. You get into this situation where you fracture your community and then you fracture the value that's associated with your coin. So what we're trying to do is that, hey, we might not always agree, and then maybe the stakeholders don't like something that the developers are doing, and that might lead to a little bit slower development. But I consider that to be less important, sort of the speed of development to be less important than the coherence of the community.
Okay, yes. So you basically you create a real strong, committed community, committed to the coin, and that will basically solidify also the value.
Exactly, and so we make sure that we've made an effort to make sure that our community won't fracture, it won't split, and by doing that, we hope to sort of retain our network and to amplify our value over time in a way where, say Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's great, but now there's Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Platinum. Who knows what's coming? I mean, Bitcoin Copper.
Yeah, I agree. So, but you're just going to be Decred.
Exactly. We hope there's just one Decred. Yeah. There might be another Decred at some point, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. And you've been head of project and for the development of the coin. So, are there some things planned ahead in the roadmap in the development of the coin itself?
Yeah, for sure. There's 3 things that are coming up in the very near future here, and then there's a little bit we're going into in the medium and long term. I'll start with those first 3. First is an SPV wallet implementation, so people can download a wallet, do it quickly, and not have to download a whole copy of the blockchain, and they don't have to give up their privacy by using a centralized service for a mobile wallet. And that is actually in the process of being deployed right now. So it's going to be like a 3-step deployment. We'll deploy one part, then another, and then it will be complete.
It's just going to be a light QT wallet, something like that.
Yeah. It's like so what it does is that you download filters for the wallet rather than with Bloom filters, which is how most SPV wallets work with Bitcoin. You push filters to a full node, and then it chooses which transactions to send you. In this case, you pull down all the filters, and only episodically do you ask for blocks. And so that process is really good for privacy and for security. And once that's out, the other thing that we're working on is Lightning Network, which we ported from Bitcoin. It's mostly done, but the devil's in the details. The last 5 or 10% are always the hardest.
Yeah.
And so that's imminent. And then the other thing that's happening right now is that you were talking about governance. One of the things we're doing is that 10% governance dev subsidy goes into a fund, and currently I'm one of the managers who has the ability to administrate those funds. However, I've been really thrifty so far. We've only spent 18% of our subsidy.
Okay.
So there's 500,000 coins, $30 million worth of coins in there, and that has...
So there's plenty of room for more development.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of room for way more development. And the game there is that we're going to open it up so stakeholders can vote on what we do with those funds. And I'm really looking forward to that because the crown is heavy and making these decisions sometimes is really bad. And then the last thing that we're really working on that's going to be happening throughout 2018 is we're going to decentralize control of those funds. We haven't done that yet because technically speaking, we're not satisfied with how other people have done it, and we're going to do it in a way that's a minimal complexity smart contract. So it's not the DAO and suddenly it's hacked and then we have to revert the changes or something like that.
Yeah, okay. So you say I'm not completely happy with how people are voting. So you need to educate basically your community, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Education's a huge part of how we plan to run our governance system.
Yeah.
We want people to make informed decisions. We understand that not everybody's going to be informed and take the time to get informed. So we have to rely on, media and the community to self-inform and to, spread the word about the various viewpoints that go into these decisions that we end up making collectively.
Okay, so just to put it in short, what are the key points for Decred? Why should people choose for Decred?
I think the reason people should choose Decred is we're taking the time to do this correctly and make a currency that governs itself and self-funds, so that 20 years later you come back, there's still Decred. It's not, we ran out of money, or we ran out of venture capital funding. It is a question of, they're still doing it. What's the coin worth? And, how has it evolved, as opposed to everyone started arguing and it split into a million pieces.
Okay, I think that's a strong point.
Yeah.
to be sure. I think that's basically covers the Decred. Are there any add-ons that you would like to tell about Decred, which you think that the community needs to know?
I think that something that's important to remember is that cryptocurrencies, despite the fact that there's been an enormous surge in value, institutional investors are involved, and there's a lot of hot money flowing into cryptocurrencies, is ultimately the technology isn't about making money as much as it is about making change. And the process of gamification that we've seen with Bitcoin, and we're trying to continue with Decred, where we turn things, instead of taking timestamp as a game, we make decisions into a game. That process is empowering for large groups, because the model right now is there's one person in charge. That one person is king, whether we're talking like a nation state, a corporation, or like most groups. Most groups have a leader, and I think that the future is going to be less leaders and more groups that make decisions collectively. And I think we're going to find a lot better decisions being made in the future, and that's going to benefit humans as a group.
And I'm now just thinking of another question. Within Bitcoin, basically 96% of all the Bitcoins are basically locked in 4 wallets. How is that within Decred?
96% are locked in what?
4 wallets.
Oh wow, 4 wallets. Yeah, I mean the distribution of Decred is actually substantially better than it is in Bitcoin. Mostly because we have the luxury of showing up after everyone already knew about the technology. If you look at the way things worked with Bitcoin, the people who got in very early and were like, this is amazing, I'm going to buy all the coins, and not everyone else was informed. So when we started Decred, there was already a lot of people informed. In fact, when we launched, we didn't do an ICO, we did an airdrop, and 2,900 people got 282 free Decred, which is worth, I don't know, like $15,000 or something now. So
this is pretty nice, to get it for free.
Yeah. People who participated in our airdrop were super happy with that, and I think that we definitely benefited by not being the first. When you're the first at anything, things that you're going to have to deal with things that no one else does. And so I think that Bitcoin is, in terms of who owns it, is very centralized, but not by merit of any effort they've made, but just by merit of them being first.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're on several exchanges already. How long are you actually? How long is Decred already active?
We launched in February 2016. And we've been on a bunch of exchanges. Recently, we added 2 fiat exchanges in Brazil. So people can send money to Brazil, or you can deposit Brazilian reals and exchange them for Decred directly. So there's a DCR BRL pair. So we're adding exchanges, but we're just not as aggressive about it as other projects are, in the sense that we're sustainable. We can keep doing this for years, and we're not like in a rush. We don't have to get on the exchange. So we take our time, and we just we let it happen.
Okay, so how can I obtain Decred?
So most people, so if you don't feel comfortable wiring money to Brazil, which I think some of us might not, Brazil's a pretty cool place, but it might worry some people. If you're not interested in doing using a Brazilian exchange, what you can do is you can purchase Bitcoin first with whatever your fiat currency is, and then go to a secondary exchange like Poloniex or Bittrex and swap, and sell your Bitcoins for Decred.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're listed there already.
Yeah.
Okay. Really good. Okay. Yep. I don't have any more questions. Probably they will arise after I see this talk again. But maybe we will do an AMA afterwards. I don't know. We'll see about that. So I thank you, and thank you, Jake. Yeah. And see you soon, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Jürgen.